Jared Scott, Tracy Martin with Aeroseal. Welcome you to today's webinar on Make the Most of Your Peak Season. Review the agenda real quickly here. So we'll go over a quick industry history and future outlook. We're also going to review different techniques on a high volume, big ticket, and a core business for HVAC contractors and discuss different types there. Talk about a solution to complement your business, being Aeroseal. Give you some example scenarios and then have an opportunity for you to ask questions and get some answers that you're looking for. Tracy?
So hi, everybody. My name's Tracy Martin. I am the Director of Dealer Development for Aeroseal, which is a mouthful. That means I have the pleasure of working with all of our existing dealer partners on the residential side of the business.
And I'm Jared Scott, the National Director of Sales here for Aeroseal. And my job and my team's job is to grow the partner network, add dealers in where we need them, and then we hand them over to Tracy and her team for the support side. We'll get into a little bit, we'll talk about the biggest peak season may be upon us this year. And we'll talk a little bit too about why that would be the case. So HVAC history was made about 16 years ago. 2005 saw 8.6 million HVAC system installs. It's a big year. And where that would typically would have fallen last year to 2020, it was really anticipated and expected to be the next biggest year. And for a lot of people, it was I think it was overwhelmingly a solid year. Weather really seemed to help out in most regions there. But there are a few things that impacted the 2020 as a year. Obviously, COVID. There was some uncertainty around that. And maybe some unemployment situations that caused some of that uncertainty. Homeowners delayed replacements as a result of that, wanting to kind of wait and see how the pandemic was going to play out. And so what they did is they opted into some, instead of replacements, least costly repairs, just to get the system by. And in 2021, we're looking ahead here. It is expected to be another very busy and successful year. So progress with COVID, the vaccines and things where numbers tend to be trending down in most areas, it's actually removing a lot of that uncertainty. And this is where equipment replacement is probably going to be inevitable. We'll talk on the next slide about that. But stimulus checks being used to invest in home improvements is also another key reason where this could really play in. So why do we have record years? The equipment lifespan, depending on region, see local listings, right? So, but equipment lifespan is between 12 and 15 years on average. Anyway, and that is going to be dependent upon your climate zone being a very driving factor. So all of your temperature extremes and your humidity extremes will decrease that life expectancy on the equipment. Also, different types of equipment, different brands of equipment play into that too. But what we're seeing is demand for high efficiency equipment. And some of that is going to be just homeowners really aspiring to lower their energy bills, stop wasting money. There's also more and more rebates and incentives around the higher efficiency equipment. And codes are driving that higher SEER equipment. So a 10 SEER system is no longer available, and that is going to continue to step up as we go. And then with refrigerant changes, new regulations, and that transition from one refrigerant to the next. Those are the opportunities that are out there for you to, or for HVAC contractors to talk about when it's right to make that new equipment install. I'll hand this over to Tracy.
All right, thanks, Jared. So as Jared kind of set the stage for us here, we're looking at 2021 as being another big season for all of us. And today's webinar is all about making sure that we get the most out of this peak season. And so we want to take a look at the types of HVAC companies that are out there, and we want to look at how you're already doing business and how you might be able to fit Aeroseal into the way you're already doing business so that you can get the most out of this peak season. So we've broken it down into 3 categories of businesses. We're calling them the volume approach companies, the bigger ticket approach companies, and the core business approach companies. So let's start with the volume approach companies. So these are going to be companies that they're running as many calls as they can per day. So we're looking at 6 to 8 calls per tech per day. So when I say running as many calls, they're running, they're hustling. So this means that they're probably only going to be able to focus on the standard scope of services, meaning if they're there to do a tune-up, that's probably all they're going to be able to do. Do the tune-up, keep moving, go to the next call, and so on and so forth. And so it kind of begs the question, do more calls really mean more money? So if we look at a really extreme circumstance, when you've got a hurried pace like that, 8 calls a day, sometimes it can present challenges and undesired outcomes for the company. So it reduces the time that the tech has when he's in the home, and he doesn't have an opportunity to discover other pain points that the homeowner might be having. And then worst of all, it can create some potential for callbacks. Nobody likes callbacks. Callbacks are not revenue generating. They can take you away from other revenue generating opportunities or projects. And then worst of all, if you've got a callback situation, that means you have an unhappy customer. So it can lead to negative online reviews. And frankly, your technicians might not be happy if they're going on callback. So you can have negative online reviews in both ways. But let's move it along there to the next point. So we were talking about an extreme circumstance. Let's take a volume approach company and let's just dial it back a little bit and put them in more of a moderate pace. Let's say we're more in the 5 to 6 calls per day. So now the technician has a little bit more time when they're in the home, and they can start to uncover opportunities that might be there. So this is where we start putting the tech in a position to become a solid lead generator for your company. And that's really key, and we're going to build on that concept here in just a second. But you're allowing the tech the time to generate leads and turn leads over to the sales professionals within your company. And that's great, because if they're every call they're going on, they're generating those leads, that means your pipeline is going to be maintained with steady work. And that's always a good thing. And then we know the best leads you can get are with existing clients. So this next point, I want to really dig into this one and make sure we hit a home run with this, because I think it is so important to acknowledge this. Technicians are not salespeople. In fact, no offense, Jared, they kind of, in some ways, they look at sales as a bad word. A lot of your service techs are going to describe themselves as fix and repair professionals. They like to find out what needs to be fixed and repaired, and they don't want to sell anything, right? We hear that all the time. So if you kind of circle back to the earlier point, asking a technician to be a lead generator versus asking a technician to be a sales person, a lead generator is going to be a more comfortable place for a technician. So next, if that's what we're asking them to do, if we're asking them to be lead generators, then we want to make sure we're doing it in the right way. So we refer to something that we call the 3L technique, and that is look, listen, and log. So while the technician is in the home, it's very natural for him to follow, him or her, to follow the 3L technique. Look means while you're in the home performing, say, a tune-up, you're looking around the home, visually inspecting the home for signs and symptoms of other problem areas that the homeowner might be experiencing. Next is listen. We've dialed it down. It's a more moderate pace. The technician has a little bit more time in the home. So now it allows the technician to listen by engaging with the homeowner in a conversation and really listening, training their ear to listen for those pain points, those complaints, those problem areas in the home that the homeowner wants to be fixed and repaired or make it go away. And then finally, log. And this is crucial. If we're not asking the technician to complete the sale, then he's got to log what he's seeing and what he's hearing so he can turn that lead over to someone on the sales side to bring it across the finish line. So the 3L technique, look, listen, log, we're going to talk about it one more time, I think, today. All right. So staying with the concept that technicians view themselves as folks who fix and repair is great, because if we look at what Aeroseal is, I mean, what it really is It is a duct repair. You have holes in your ductwork, you need to fix them by repairing them, which is sealing them. So simply put, we say Aeroseal is a very necessary duct repair. So let's talk about why we use the word necessary. Department of Energy estimates that 95% of homes have leaky ductwork. That's a big number. And then how leaky are most ducts? Well, most ducts leak somewhere between 25 and 40%. That's a significant amount. And then we know that duct leakage can lead to system performance issues. It can compromise or reduce system performance. So if we think about the technician's responsibility when they're in the home performing a tune-up, it's their responsibility to make sure that system is working at its optimal performance, as good as it could be. And if we're leaving duct leakage unaddressed, well, then we're not making sure that that system is working as good as it should be. So if we start putting Aeroseal in this kind of a light, we call it a repair. We say that it's essential or necessary for the system to operate the way that it should. Now we're creating a real comfortable place for a technician. That is home for a technician. So it makes it very easy, natural, comfortable for the technician to then recommend the Aeroseal or just call it a duct repair service. Now, some companies, they may choose not to schedule and perform Aeroseal during the peak season, and that's okay. If you choose not to do that, what that does for you, the advantage it creates is it builds a very strong pipeline for your company during the shoulder season or those slower months. So let me give you just a quick example. I'm visiting Jared, I'm doing a tune-up, and I say to Jared, you know, I got your system working, everything's going to be ship-shape. Hey, I noticed while I was here today, Jared, you've got some signs of some duct leakage. I noticed some photos here. I'll show them to you because I followed my 3L technique, look, listen, log. Jared, you were also telling me about that problem room that you have. It's hotter than the other rooms in the house. Look, my recommendation to you is, I think that we need to repair your ductwork. We need to do a duct sealing repair. You don't have to do it right now, but I would recommend that maybe we talk about this in a couple months. And now I've set it up for my sales team to come in, follow up on that lead, and keep me busy during those slower months of the year. Use your own words. I was just giving you a real quick example of how it might fit into a tune-up conversation. And then, you know, Aeroseal. It's great because it is the most efficient and effective way of sealing ductwork today. So Aeroseal is all about precision. We are very precisely targeting and sealing up all the leaks and holes in the duct system. And then Jared's going to talk to you about the Aeroseal process in a little bit more detail and just a little bit here. But the way the process works is it's precise because we start with a test. It's actually kind of like a duct blaster test. So we're going to start with identifying how leaky the duct system is. Then we're going to seal it. And then we're going to test it again. So we have a before and an after so that we can move on and provide that homeowner with certified and unique results. So more on that here in just a little while. Okay, so we've talked about the volume approach companies. Let's kind of shift gears and move over to the bigger ticket approach companies. So the bigger ticket approach companies, the goal here is just like it sounds. The goal is to produce higher average ticket sales. So in this case, companies are probably running in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 calls per day. So it's a little slower pace. Techs have much more time in the home. If they have more time, that allows them more time to build more rapport. The more rapport you have with a customer, the more trust you're going to be able to build with that customer. You begin to like the technician, trust the technician, you get to know the technician gets to know you, and that opens the door for all kinds of opportunity. If I like you and I trust you, I care about what you have to say. So if you tell me that I need to consider a duct repair, I'm all ears. But again, we can't forget the 3L technique. So even when we're in this slower pace, or we've got that more time with the customer, we still want to make sure that we're following the 3L technique by looking, listening, and logging, so we can turn that lead over. Staying with the bigger ticket approach. This is, we talked about it opening the door for so many other opportunities. The two big ones always being IAQ and comfort products. And everybody out there is already taking advantage of IAQ products and comfort. If we look at the IAQ product portion of it, IAQ is a big, big business. We're talking a $33 billion, that was with a B, billion-dollar market. But it's mostly owned by the box stores. So, indoor air quality is very top of mind with customers, especially coming out of the pandemic. But the other reason it's top of mind, technology has made IAQ much more visible and much more accessible for homeowners with a lot of plug-in products that they can pick up at the box store. When we think about Aeroseal, though, homeowners typically, they're not aware of it. It's not something you can pick up at the box store, right? So with Aeroseal, it's definitely the kind of service that you're going to have to introduce them to. You're going to have to educate them about what it is and how it can help them. So now let's move into the comfort products. Comfort has always been king, still is. So people don't like being uncomfortable. So homeowners, gosh, are spending more time indoor than ever before. I can't wait to start getting outside more, but certainly true coming out of this pandemic. Discomfort is a common expression of homeowners, and often, that single service that they're investing in that they think is going to solve their comfort issue, it doesn't resolve it all the way. So there's still opportunity for you to build upon that and go farther. And we know that your competition is taking advantage of these opportunities. We're giving you a way to do it differently than your competition. And then another really key point that we want to address here is that we know that many companies that you like selling the IAQ products that you have. We are not trying to compete with or replace those IAQ products that you have as a core part of your business. So if you're already selling UV lights, dehumidifiers, air purifiers, etc., Aeroseal just goes nicely. It complements those other services. We're not intending to replace or compete with those. So I want to take one really specific example. And I want to talk about duct cleaning. So this might be a service that you're already offering. Aeroseal complements duct cleaning. We say like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together really well. Now, a lot of times during the peak season, duct cleaning can be very popular. Often because during the peak season, it can align in a lot of markets with the allergy season. I know here for sure, I'm a little stuffy today. It's starting to get warm and all those wonderful allergens are in the air. So when those things come into play together, homeowners can be very motivated to look at duct cleaning services. Now, when they start looking for someone to do the duct cleaning, boy, oh boy, there's a wide variety of choices out there. You have the companies that just do duct cleaning, and then you have HVAC companies that have duct cleaning along with their other product mix or services mix. The ticket prices for duct cleaning can also vary quite a bit. You got the $99 special, and then you've got the, up in the several hundreds of dollars range, right? Or close to $1,000. So there's a wide variety. So how can you differentiate yourself when you've got all this competition in the duct cleaning space? How you can differentiate yourself is your company can offer what's called a clean and seal bundle. So a lot of our companies who do it this way, they'll say, we don't just clean ducts, we fix what makes them dirty in the first place. And that's a real differentiator. The other nice thing is there's a very big labor efficiency. A lot of the prep work, which Jared, again, he's going to talk about the process here in just a little bit. A lot of the prep work that you do for a duct cleaning job is similar to the prep work that you would do for duct sealing. So there's a labor savings or efficiency there that can lead into higher profit margins. So those are two good things for the company. Okay, So we've broken down the volume approach companies. We've taken a look at the bigger ticket approach companies, and that's going to lead us now into the core business approach companies. So one of my favorite types of companies to talk about. So these types of companies, they are looking for ways to even out their business. And what I mean by that is they're not going to have as many peaks and valleys. They're not weather dependent. So they don't have to worry about the hustle, 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 and then the slow, slow down. They are really committing to a wider scope of services. The way they do business is much more comprehensive. So they're taking a whole house approach when they deal with their customer base. This means they're looking at true duct performance. They're testing, they're running diagnostics, they're verifying, they're using the whole house approach in the way that they train their team, the way they do business, the way they sell. It's core, it's part of who they are and what they do. They're not just treating the symptoms. They're finding the root cause and they're offering more complete solutions. And in this case, when you're taking that full whole house approach, your technician is building a much deeper rapport with your customer, because what the technician is doing is they're recommending the right way to fix the problem. Now, the core business approach is not for the timid. What we mean by that is it takes an owner, a management, and a team that's willing to really hunker down and hold true to who you are. If we're going to do business this way and we're going to take the whole house approach, we're not going to let weather tell us what to do. We're not going to let weather drive our decisions. And it might also mean that we're going to make the investment to make sure that we have a full staff at all times. So it takes some oomph, I think, to make a commitment and be that core business kind of company. So we talked about duct performance. So let's kind of break that down. Duct performance is a must. It's an absolute for somebody who has a core business approach. And what we mean by that is you really have to have a good understanding of the duct system's critical role. What role does it play in comfort? Or, well, here, let me look at my screen. What role does it play in controlling humidity? Having better control of the humidity in the equation, we'll say, helps to increase the equipment lifespan. You heard Jared talk about that in the beginning. When you've got extra humidity, you're putting extra burden on the equipment, which can shorten the lifespan. Reducing condensation-related issues, that falls into duct performance. Improving comfort, there's many different ways it improves comfort. And then infiltration. What we're talking about is your indoor air quality here, right? Using duct performance to solve a problem means we're identifying infiltration and we're fixing it the right way. We're fixing what's causing the infiltration rather than treating the symptom. And then when we're following duct performance principles, we're doing other things, like we're making sure that the SEER that's listed on the equipment is the SEER that we're delivering. So if I buy a 16 SEER system, I want to make sure that I'm getting a 16 SEER experience. And we're going to talk about that in just a second as well. It's also making sure that the air, the conditioned air that the customer is paying for, is getting to all the rooms in the house that they want it to get to. And then duct performance, this also means that we're doing things the right way by making sure that we're right sizing the equipment. How often do you guys go out to homes and find that the system is oversized? If we're doing the load calculations, we know what size should be in there, and this fits into the core business mindset. We're going to do things the right way. We're going to make sure that we get the right size equipment in there. And then finally, we're creating a more balanced HVAC system, and the ductwork is part of the HVAC system. So you add all that up, and boy, that's the right way to do things. So how does Aeroseal fit into a core business? Well, I think it fits into a core business perfectly. It enhances the existing solutions that the core business is offering. So it's more efficient than manual hand sealing. It helps your company address common concerns that are created by duct leakage. So the common complaints that your homeowners are telling you about, it helps you address those the right way and solve them the right way for your customers. And Aeroseal can complement your quoting process. The way you're already quoting products and services, Aeroseal can fit into that very nicely. And I think Jared's going to show you how that can work. And then there are business gains and increased traction as a segment leader, or really as just a leader in your marketplace. It helps you maintain steady year-round workflow, and it can create a hiring pipeline for your business. New employees can be excited to be involved with new technology, and it can help you retain your existing skilled labor, with unique, steady business. And then also, boy, there's a lot here as to how it fits into a core business. Even though it fits in there naturally, you're still going to have to generate some awareness with your customers. It's still up to you to educate your customers about the benefits of Aeroseal. So this is where a core business is going to use things like testing instruments. It helps them turn the invisible issue, like duct leakage, into something that's visible. At a very minimum, we talked about the fact that 95% of homes have leaky ductwork. So at a very minimum, it's up to the core business to make sure that the homeowner's at least informed about the impacts of duct leakage, and then what the benefits are to sealing the duct leakage. And then all services involving HVAC equipment, if you're selling HVAC equipment or you're doing maintenance for HVAC equipment, Aeroseal fits into that perfectly. It's the responsible thing to do to work it into the equation if we're dealing with HVAC equipment in any way, shape, or form. And then as your customers are reporting comfort or air quality concerns, again, it's up to you to generate that awareness and make sure they know there's another way, a better way to fix the problem. And that can be done through conversation or really nice marketing leave behinds. Okay, so let's move on to, quite a mouthful, sorry. Let's move on to the next chart that we see here. So I said to you that if you're selling HVAC equipment or you're performing maintenance for HVAC, you're doing anything related to HVAC equipment, you want to make sure that you're helping deliver the efficiency that the equipment was designed to deliver. So a lot of our companies who have Aeroseal, they might build in a message that sounds something like this. At Jared's HVAC, when we sell a 16 SEER system to our customer, we can look that customer in the eye and guarantee that they're going to get the efficiency that they paid for. I can guarantee that when they buy a 16 SEER system, they're getting a 16 SEER system, because I am ensuring that the ductwork it's connected to is as sound as it should be to help deliver that full 16 SEER experience. So if we look at this chart, let's just take the 16 SEER example. We look at a 16 SEER system and we track across to the right there and we look at a duct that has 30% leakage. That 16 SEER system is now delivering an 8.6 SEER experience. I got to tell you, if I just spent thousands of dollars with Jared's HVAC for a 16 SEER system and I'm only getting 8 SEER out of it, I'm not very happy. Now, I might not know, but how I'm going to know is when I notice that my bedroom isn't as comfortable as the rest of the house, or I notice that my utility bill isn't quite what I expected to be. I'll find out one way or the other. But the nice thing about having Aeroseal as a part of your business is you can guarantee that efficiency. And there's really a lot that we could talk about here. Jared, is there anything you wanted to add on this part?
I just think it's a shame to, as a homeowner anyway, to have a brand new high efficiency piece of equipment connected to leaky ducts, right? And to drive Tracy's point home, even at 10% leakage, it's still something that can be resolved, really efficiently and effectively, and it's delivering on that rating and the best value for the homeowner. All right, so we'll talk a little bit here on capabilities and efficiencies here. This is the certificate of completion here is for, or rather from, Mike Holmes. He's a TV personality, and one of our Canadian partners actually sealed his house. We like to use this because the example behind this is that Mike Holmes had actually built a new house and had a system installed and was already hand sealed, and you know, as you can imagine, he says it done right. So when this partner went into to seal, it was 328 CFM of leakage. So that's equivalent to a 62 square inch hole. In this region, it's very typical to see much higher leakage than that. But after Aeroseal, that was brought down to just 25 CFM, or a 5 square inch hole. So that's corresponding to a 93% reduction in duct leakage. And this is not a one-off experience. In fact, anyone that's watching this today, if you'd like to see some examples of some seal certificates of homes that were performed in your area, we'd have to redact the homeowner information, obviously, but we can share what typical results are in your region and give you an idea of what we see, what our some dealers in the area will be seeing too. I mentioned earlier there on that example, but it does effectively reduce duct leakage, 90% or greater there. And it works with all duct materials. So whether it's sheet metal, duct board, flex duct, wall cavities, line ducts, pan joists, it's going to adhere to it, build up, and seal it off. It's also going to be safe and UL approved. So if anyone is looking for that UL approval, rest assured we have that. And can supply that to you. And it's also going to be long lasting, and we back you for 10 years on your steel jobs that you perform in residential applications. Tracy mentioned it earlier in a bullet point, but I like to call this out because this is not our number. This is the industry number. This is the Department of Energy saying 25 to 40%. Depends a little bit on the type of duct material, but the point is that it's lost conditioned air. So in the picture on the left is actually during the or in a heating scenario, but it is showing that bottom right home at 73, or room rather, at 73 degrees, which would be like, let's say that's where the thermostat is, right? So that's going to be the ideal room in the house. That upstairs bedroom, however, on the left, 68 degrees, and that's typical of lost air, not making it up through the supply stack and not delivering to rooms. That's what causes those problem rooms, as you know. And the way to be able to pull those temperature ranges to within a degree is to seal that off and deliver the air that the way the duct is designed. On the right here, we've got two pictures. One shows before, where you can see the gap that is circled there, and then after with the you can see the white material there. That is the sealant. One thing to note here is it's not a duct encapsulant. It is going to just be delivered to the leak points. Those little particles build up on each other, and they eventually close off up to 5/8 of an inch is what it's effective to. So again, not a duct encapsulant, and just sealing just a gap. So while our sealant comes in gallon jugs, the actual amount that's applied is going to be a matter of ounces in the system. So looking at good, better, best options, this is how a number of the software platforms for quoting and selling HVAC equipment and solutions. This is where it works in very, very well. Tracy mentioned it lots of times. We are not trying to replace anything that you're doing. We're trying to complement that. In fact, I think we said that about 4 or 5 times already in there. But this is where on the new equipment installation, and I'll show an example here, it makes for a very, very good opportunity to put the new equipment on there, a good option, and then in the better and best option, build it out how you see fit. But a number of our contractors are putting Aeroseal in those 2 levels. We know that people love options, homeowners love them. They're going to pick what's best there for them. With zone systems, this is pretty unique and different. It's often a yes or no situation, and for selling or positioning this, you can go with a good, better, best option of Aeroseal only It's going to be on the low end of a budget scale. On the good side or the better side of the zone system, and then the best would be a zone system with Aeroseal. So again, I'm not trying to prescribe anything here. You work it out the way that would work for you. And Tracy and her team are able to actually help with their experience and contractors in the field and how they're working it in. Duct cleaning, the clean and seal, IQ products, service calls, equipment maintenance, energy saving bundles. And if you're an HVAC contractor that is installing solar solutions too, it's a great way to get that energy reduction that you may be looking for. A couple examples of quoting it here, and you can see on the example on the left, it's down there on the bottom by the red arrow. It's actually called out as a clean and seal. And then on the option on the right, this is where it gives the good, better, and best, or the gold, platinum, and green. It actually works into the green section there with that arrow. So again, you can put it into whatever platform that you're using to quote and sell from. But these are some options of how some contractors, dealer partners of ours, are making it work for them. All right, so a little bit on the Aeroseal system, and I'll talk about the process too, because there are sometimes some misunderstandings or some questions that'll come up probably in a Q&A here. But the way that the equipment is often deployed, it's a van, box truck, or trailer, something that is capable of holding the system as you see there, which is the black box, and some accessories to that. On the right, it's our Mobile Pro trailer. It's something that we actually fabricate and build here at Aeroseal. That it's really designed to make a turnkey solution here for you for a mobile workstation to work out of. The Aeroseal process is it's going to be connecting the equipment via a plastic tube, or what we call lay flat, to an injection point on the system. It's usually cut in after blocking off the register and isolating the equipment. So I want to be clear here that no sealant is going to go through the HVAC equipment. You definitely don't, that's not going to be the process at all. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. So what we're going to be able to do is pressurize that system with the fan and the fan box there, and with the included laptop and software, where it's going to handle the testing phase, the pre-seal test. It's going to get the initial leakage. The next step is sealing it, where it's going to inject the sealant or atomize the sealant material. It'll flow through that plastic tube through the injection point and carry on down through the system and seal it up, much like you saw in that picture, where the sealant accumulates on the leak points. After that, there's a post-seal test. That's going to be measuring what was accomplished. It's going to be the end result that you saw there on the Mike Holmes certificate that said 5 CFM, or I'm sorry, down to 5 square inch hole. So we like to see the checklist. When you're in the home, when your techs are in the home, having it start and end with ducts. Obviously, that makes sense to be able to measure airflow and add that on. But the purpose here is to make the most of every opportunity. Recapping what Tracy said here, an updated checklist to include duct performance, that 3L, look, listen, and log. Those are all great things, and to different degrees, depending on what type of company that you may have assimilated to that Tracy described. Your existing homeowners, they trust you. They allow your techs into their home. So while you're there, make the most of that opportunity, providing those comprehensive services and solutions. It's the right thing to do, solving for those root causes, ultimately reducing callbacks that you want to avoid anyway, and then improving the customer overall satisfaction. And for the technician standpoint, they have they're comfortable leaving that they have discussed every repair, whether the customer chooses to go with it or not. So differentiating your offering to further stand out as a leader in your market is very key. This is where I will quote one of our dealer partners. He said, Aeroseal doesn't complicate the quoting process, it complements it. And this is where being able to offer something that is very different and unique from your competition is key. Even if they opt out of Aeroseal, they'll know that you're looking out for them. And then this provides that key opportunity to follow up with them later on in the shoulder season, perhaps, to help even out some of that slower time and deliver a solution that they've already been prompted and thinking about. So that is that kind of wraps up our presentation, and I think we'll open this up for some questions.
Okay, so feel free to send in your questions on the chat dialogue there. Looks like we have a couple that have come in. So the first question we have, Jared, I'll tee this up for you and I'll let you answer it.
Sure.
First question we have is Aeroseal a franchise?
It is not a franchise. We provide the equipment and we do the training and sort of support everything from the tech support side of it, but it is not a franchise.
Yeah, and I'll add just a little of that, I guess. We have a lot of templated programs and services and ways of showing you how to do things and ways to support and coach our dealers, but we don't mandate. We let you run your company as you see fit, and we let you choose to integrate Aeroseal into your existing business and however you see best. Okay, so next question we have, Jared, here is how many technicians do I need to set aside for Aeroseal?
Yeah, for to work in an existing home, right? You could do two. Two is typical, where it's a lead technician and a helper technician. I mentioned in the process a little bit, but the lead technician typically is coming in and setting up the equipment, cutting in the injection point, and the helper technician will go and block off registers and do some prep to the home. But that's it's typically two, and in an average sized home, I'll say 3,000 square foot or smaller, two technicians in about 6 to 8 hours. So it'll depend a little bit on it's not going to be on their first job, but it'll be after getting the hang of how to do it and a few under their belt, and they'll be up and running.
Yeah, and I see we have quite a few questions starting to come in now. That's good, but let me just add a little, because we've talked about this before, Jared. The fact that you have a lead technician and then a helper technician, a lot of our dealer partners will use Aeroseal as sort of a recruiting tool or
pipeline.
I'm sorry?
A pipeline.
A pipeline, that's right. So we know how tough it is to find good, hardworking people, and then we're always worried once we find them, how do we keep them? Aeroseal can be a great way into your company, and it can be kind of a stepping stone for moving on up into other positions within the company. So a lot of our dealer partners do it that way.
And it doesn't, you mentioned earlier the IEQ department or duct cleaning crew, it matches very well with that. So it's the same level of skill, if you want to call it that, related to duct cleaning. It's very similar.
Yep. Okay. Oh boy, we've got a challenging question next. All right. So it says, how long does the process take in a home? I'm not sold that this is better than mastic.
Okay. Well, that is challenging, right? So how long does it take? I mentioned 6 to 8 hours with a typical home, and not being sold if it's better than mastic. In most cases, with your hand sealing with mastic, there's limitations on where you can reach. You're sealing from the outside. This depends. If it is I'll say if the ducts are in the basement, then trying to reach the top side of any joint is very difficult. Plus, once the supply stack, if it's a 2-story home, for example, goes up through the wall cavity, getting to those joints, it's not going to happen unless you're doing some demo to the home and tearing out drywall or plaster. And then anything that's up in the attic, if it is flex, you can hand seal flex duct with mastic and put the collar on. There's still some opportunity there where some of those connections can be pinched, or in the metal connectors, where there's often leakage there. So I don't know if that answers it as specifically if you're comparing mastic on a certain type of duct type, but kind of the point here is with Aeroseal sealing from the inside, pushing that out, physics kind of takes over, and it doesn't matter where the leak is, whether you can see it or not, reach it or not with a brush and mastic, it's going to go there and it's going to seal it and prove it in the post-seal test.
And if you remember Jared's story about the seal we did for Mike Holmes, he was not afraid to tell us that he was questioning, is it better, is it really better? And by having the test seal test approach, what's great, there's no guesswork. With mastic, you aren't able to precisely know exactly how much leakage you're sealing. With Aeroseal, you know precisely how much leakage there was before you started, you sealed it up, and then what your final results are. So in that way, unquestionably, I would say it is superior to mastic. But Jared's other point, you can only seal what you can reach. I'd be in big trouble, right? But you can't reach behind walls. And most homeowners aren't going to be excited about you ripping down their walls to seal up their ductwork. So yeah. All right. So the next question, I think, kind of builds upon what we were just saying, Jared. So the next question is, how do you get the certificate of proof? Is it on the spot?
It sure can be. So the equipment package will ship with a portable printer, a mobile printer. And so the seal certificate is produced right there. And it can be either emailed to the homeowner, or it can be printed there on right there on the spot.
And a lot of our dealer partners, not only will they use the certificate as a means of kind of closing out that job and presenting the customer with their results, but they'll also use it as a marketing tool. So many of our dealer partners keep a printed archive of all the certificates that their company has completed. Now they'll protect privacy by redacting some of the customer information. But imagine you've got this giant book of certificates of every job you've ever completed. I'm selling to Jared. I can flip to his zip code, and then I can show him a series of examples of what his neighbors or people near him, look at the leakage that they were dealing with, look at the results that we achieved, and now he can start to relate. Oh, these are, wow, that's right near me. Wow. So it works really well as a marketing tool or a sales tool in addition.
Good point.
Yeah. Okie doke. So the next question we have here is 10-year warranty question mark. Is that to suggest the life expectancy of Aeroseal?
Yeah, it actually will be the minimum life expectancy. So that's what we warranty or guarantee it to. And in stress tests, the sealant material has actually been tested to last much longer than that. So that's why it's easier for us to put a 10-year warranty on it. But looking at around the 40-year life expectancy is where I think the testing has worked out.
Yeah, very good. So I think the next question probably falls to me. What support does Aeroseal provide? As in, what happens after a system is purchased? Well, there are two requisite steps that every dealer partner must complete. The first is Kickstart Training, and that is a new dealer onboarding class. So it's an introduction to the ways of doing business together. We'll introduce you to our policies, procedures, billing, meet the who's who, so you know who to contact when you need what, and then we'll dive into how to get you started. We want you to be able to hit the ground running as quickly as possible and as strong as you can. We want to help you hit your goals in that first year. Our goal is to help you be as profitable as quickly as we can. So we're going to show you best practices as it relates to sales, marketing, processes, you name it, we cover it. So it's a 2-day course, and when we all survive this pandemic and get back to something normal, it's actually an in-person classroom experience. So the other requisite step is technical training. And this is where we send an Aeroseal trainer to your location for a 3-day on-site, hands-on training. So your team is comfortable and confident using the Aeroseal technology. We want to make sure they have time to practice in a safe environment before completing seals with a customer. From there, the answer to the question is however much support you want. I have a team of account managers, and we work with our dealers. It could be on a daily basis, it could be weekly, it could be monthly. It's really how much help do you want? We're most excited when dealers come to us and say, please help me, because then that's when we roll up our sleeves, and that's exactly what we do. We have a library of all kinds of resources, templates, etc. We have an extensive array of training programs. You need it, I bet we have it, and if we don't, we'll look into developing it for you. Thanks for that question. I think I've answered it. All right, so next question here is, Aeroseal seems to be logical at the system change out, but how do you protect the internal components?
I'm assuming internal components of the home, the belongings there. So I'll answer to that. So each equipment package ships with a 1500 CFM air scrubber fan. So that fan is plugged in. And so to explain what happens, some of those particles get into the environment of the home. And the chemistry of it is designed to where it's going to be very light, float, and not come to rest right away, right? So having the scrubber fan running and windows open, if you're able to, it's going to pull those particles into the filters on that fan, and it mitigates any issue with that. There could be some other additional prep, maybe moving some furniture out of the way, away from some of the registers and covering some furniture and things like that. But typical protection measures that you would take, I think, in other services.
All right. Okay, so the next question we have here is, how do you overcome UL requirements with an internal sealant? My inspectors always look for tape. Oh, we hear this all the time, don't we, Jared?
We do, and there are some advantages here. A lot of inspectors will know about Aeroseal, so there's some benefit to that. There could be a couple things to tie this together to the UL certification, and here's how. The seal certificate, when that is printed and put in an envelope or an electrical box of the home, it has the UL listing, certification listing at the bottom of that. So they can reference that. And if they want the visual inspection, there is a way that I believe one of our contractors is using for a very particular inspector, where they're drilling a small hole into the sheet metal duct anyway, circling it, and then sealing. And with Aeroseal, it's going to seal that up, and the inspector can come in, look for the circled hole, see that it's sealed, and look on the plenum and see the seal certificate that's there, puts that together as the UL certification or sealant, and is okay with that. If you need some assistance and are interested here, we can connect with the inspector and help connect those dots. We absolutely can do that. I don't know if you're seeing any other examples on how people are overcoming that.
Yeah, maybe a different approach, and it's not really visual, but it's more along the lines of what you were leading into there, Jared, and it's educating your local inspectors. So we have a particular dealer partner that comes to mind who did a lot of legwork to make sure that everyone in his marketplace, all the inspectors, were aware of Aeroseal. He would host events, kind of like a demo day. He'd feed folks, bring them in, kind of do a show and tell, show them how Aeroseal works, explain that really inside it has a manometer in it, right? So it is what a lot of the third-party testers are using to verify duct leakage. And in some cases, this dealer partner has eliminated the need for third-party testing, meaning that certificate being presented to the inspector is as good as gold. That's all that inspector needs, because he's learned how Aeroseal works. Now all he needs to know is, you did it, I can see the precise and certified results, I'm good, check, you pass. And that's a beautiful thing right there.
Again, so Aeroseal is not new, it's been around for some time. Inspectors, if they don't already know about it, we connect the dots. They're going to feel great about it once they start seeing you using it, because they have the confidence that it's going to meet the requirement of the code and what they're looking for.
And I'm dying to tell you for how long, because a lot of people don't realize it, Jared. I mean, Aeroseal was founded in 1997.
Yeah.
And you know, every time we do a new dealer training, we'll ask, how many of you know how long Aeroseal has been around? And it's kind of surprising. A lot of people don't realize that we were founded in 1997. So yeah, it's a proven technology. All righty. So, well, the questions are starting to roll in here. How does the sealant not gunk up the coils and the fan? Good question.
Very good question. So that's where on the prep, it'll be isolating the equipment itself. So we're not going to let any of the sealant go across the coil or through the equipment at all. So block off before, block off after, and then pressurize. And then afterwards you unblock that, and then you can restart the system.
Okay, I have many customers that are concerned with health sensitivities. Does Aeroseal off gas?
Doesn't off gas. There is an odor during and immediately following an application. It smells a little bit like Elmer's glue. It's a very familiar smell. It's not, by the way, but it is what a lot of people associate it to. And again, we're using just really ounces that are going to be or ounces of the sealant that's going to be deposited there. So within a few hours, the smell is going to be dissipated, and there's nothing that's ongoing. You won't notice this smell around much longer than that. But as far as the health sensitivities to it, we have an SDS sheet that we can help support that, but it is ultra low VOCs and extremely safe.
Yeah, and to add to that, you know, this question comes up a lot, and we cover this quite heavily in new dealer training, because we want to make sure if a customer asks you this question, you can answer very confidently and put that customer at ease.
Yep.
Aeroseal is safe. It's non-toxic. And when you start looking at all the work that's been done around the globe, Aeroseal is being done in 27 different countries all across the globe. So it can be used in residential applications and also in commercial. So I go over to the commercial side for a second to let you know, Aeroseal is being used in hospitals, K-12 facilities, universities, surgery centers, places where you know there are some health mandates and health concerns, and it's got to be just right. And if it's safe enough for a surgery center, well, I bet it's safe enough for your home, right? In fact, we've actually used Aeroseal to solve other health issues or health concerns like cross-contamination in surgery centers. So there are a lot of different ways you can answer this. More than enough information to put that customer at ease and let them know that, yes, it is safe. So rest assured.
Yeah, to talk a little bit about the formulation of the material, it's a vinyl acetate polymer suspended in water. So during the process, that sealant is pumped up and it's dried out. So the water is removed, and that's what those particles are, the polymer that are then that travel through the duct system and adhere to the duct material. So again, I don't want to brush past this. If you are definitely wanting to see what the SDS sheet is and to talk more about this, drop us your information, because I don't disagree that this is not, people should not be concerned. They absolutely should be concerned about what's going on in their house, but we got it covered.
All right, so we're right up to the last minute of our hour here. I think we could probably answer maybe one more question, and then we'll make sure you have Jared's information. So if you're interested in reaching out for a free business review or questions in general, you know how to reach him and who to talk to. So one more question here is Aeroseal something that qualifies for utility rebates that can be passed along to the homeowner? So I'll answer part of that, and then I'm sure you're going to want to finish that. So yes, in some markets, Aeroseal does qualify for duct sealing rebates. It varies quite a bit from market to market. We're starting to have some luck when dealer partners bring us into the conversation and we have the opportunity to help. We've seen success to the point of a $600 rebate, a $700 rebate. I think the state of Delaware has a statewide $500 rebate. It varies from market to market. I don't think there are currently any federal tax incentives available. However, with the new administration, so I know this is where Jared wants to go, but with the new administration, we're really excited about all of the focus on weatherization. So I'll let Jared kind of take it from there, and then we'll wind this up.
Yeah, our connection origination of or with the Department of Energy, that puts us in a pretty good position, we think, to tell a story about Aeroseal and how it aligns to the weatherization components and with the Biden administration and some of those components there for us to be able to play in that. I forget how many millions of homes that are slated to be hit or to be served for this this program. But I believe that not only are we seeing more just naturally over the past several years coming around to it, but this is likely going to create a surge of interest for us, for everybody.
Very exciting. Yep. Well, I'll let Jared make the final comments. I just want to thank you guys for your time today. I appreciate you being with us. I would look forward to working with any of you in the future. Thanks again so much, and I hope that no matter where you are and what you're doing, you make the most of this peak season.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yep.
So if you would like a business review, reach out to me here directly, jared.scott, spelled JARROD.SCOTT if you're just listening, at aeroseal.com. And my direct cell number is 937-751-3945. We'd love to go over it, align it to specific to what you're seeing and how it would work best for you. And we can get a little bit more in the details of the process and show a video or two that will really help get that understanding there. But thank you so much for attending today. We really appreciate it.